Hello, and welcome to our March webinar. Thanks for joining our webinar today, focused on AMAG's Symmetry Solutions and Services available to our channel and customers. I am Kim Rayfeld, Director of Media Relations for AMAG, and I will be your host today. These webinars provide important updates, drive awareness of AMAG's new Symmetry solutions. They share best practices, and they dive into unique product features that will help you differentiate your company from others when you team up with us. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please type them in the Q&A box, and we will address as many as we can at the end of the webinar. And we will follow up with those that we didn't get to after the webinar. So today we welcome back Vice President of Product Management, Jonathan Moore. He's going to give you a nice sneak peek of 2 new solutions that will be available later this year. He will also highlight key products from the Symmetry suite of solutions that will be at the show. AMAG delivers a powerful, unified, and open security platform that empowers businesses to effectively secure their facilities, meet compliance, and have peace of mind. While access control is the foundation of what we do, the Symmetry Security Management System includes video, identity management, analytics, mobile, intrusion, visitor management, command and control, and incident management. Symmetry's scalable solutions provide operational insights and intelligence to improve business today and tomorrow. Our solutions also help our reseller channel, our consulting community, and end users solve problems. The Symmetry Security Management System and our ecosystem of best-of-breed tech partners work together to provide a complete solution for you. All of our webinars and much more are available on our YouTube channel. I invite you to check that out. So this webinar is all about ISC West. We are excited to be exhibiting and invite you to stop by our booth 25089. The show hours are Wednesday and Thursday from 10 to 5 and Friday from 10 to 3. We've reconfigured the booth to include a large conference room and plenty of tables for seating and meetings. A large video on the left pillar there at the top showcases our Symmetry solutions. We also have 4 demo stations fully equipped to demo our Symmetry products. There on the screen, you can see the 3 that are there. There's also one around the corner of that large pillar there on the left. Now I will turn it over to Vice President of Product Management, Jonathan Moore, who will review what is exactly going to be shown at those demo stations.
Perfect. Thanks, Kim, and good afternoon from the East Coast to everybody. Hope to see all of you out at the show next week. Kim and I will definitely be out there. But prior to that, as Kim said, I will be providing a bit of a sneak peek of what we will be showing at ISC West, including, as Kim said correctly, 2 new applications that we'll be showing for the very first time at the show next week as well. So let's jump in and go to the next slide. So at this point, I'm actually stealing the slide that Kim started us off with, which really shows our entire sort of portfolio of solutions. And the reason I'm doing that is it's very easy to explain what we'll be showing at ISC West. So starting at the very, very high level, all of this will be available at ISC. So every product that you see on here, we will have there and available for demo. Obviously, we'll be focusing somewhat more on certain applications and some of the newer features. But if you need to brush up or learn a little bit more about any of these solutions, they'll all be available. Now, in today's discussion and also at the show, we're actually going to be focusing really on some of the core functionality of our solution, really related to the access control system. We've been talking a lot recently in these webinars and in general about some of our enterprise solutions and some of the largest customers maybe that we have. And now I'm very happy to say that some of our focus is returning back to some of the lower and mid-level products and solutions that we have, and updating those. So starting off, obviously we will have our access control solution available at ISC, and obviously we'll be demoing that. It goes without saying. I'm going to be talking a lot about our access control solution today in further slides on the webinar, but obviously we'll have our latest M4000 panels and our Symmetry Blue readers available, and we'll be able to show our latest Symmetry 9.4 software, all the latest and greatest things within the access control sphere itself. Now, along with access control, we're going to be showing a lot of actual integration and a lot of unified solutions here, solutions that have really been brought together rather than maybe separate demos of each product. So examples of that is Zenitel audio that we see up on the top right of this slide. Is we will have integrated Zenitel stations on display. We will be able to show a full use case of somebody maybe at a door that's not able to get in, that needs to communicate with somebody, the ability to open that door, the full sort of workflow related to intercom and audio as it relates to access control. That'll be there and front and center on full display. We will be showing some of our enterprise solutions, like, well, all of our enterprise solutions, but such as the Connect identity management system. It will be there. It will be directly integrated into the access control solution. You'll be able to see how somebody's added in Connect, how they can be assigned access. We'll be talking a lot about some of the enhancements to Connect, including the access request and approval workflow. We've done a lot of enhancements to all the options available with access requests and who can be an approver and so on and so forth. We've also completed some integrations with some third-party access control systems that we'll be talking about more at the show as well, which is obviously a very big deal with the Connect solution. But you will be able to see identities going from Connect down into the access control solution. If you have any questions about what we've been doing with that product, obviously it'll be on full display at the show. Along with Connect will be our guest visitor management system. And this is another one that I will be talking a lot about today because there's been some significant updates within the Symmetry guest system. Very pleased to say that we'll be able to show how to register a visitor in guest, how that visitor can be added into the access control system, but also how they can seamlessly get a mobile credential through the Symmetry mobile system automatically via integration. And that integration itself has been available for a few months, but we've been doing some very recent enhancements to it that I'll be talking a bit more about today that make it even easier for a visitor to load that credential while they're on the fly. So as I say, obviously a lot to talk about, a lot to show at ISC West. And I'm only going to touch on a few of the more salient topics today, so come and see us. But let's jump into some of the new features and things I want to talk about. So starting with Symmetry Access Control, as I said, we'll be showing our latest software at the show. So 9.4 was released right at the end of last year. We'll be showing an iteration of that, maybe it's 9.4.5 or something like that. We have a lot of minor releases that come out. But we'll be showing all that functionality that was released rather recently in that new major release that came out at the end of last year. And one of the central focal points of that is the integration with our complete view video management system. The additional data that can be shared between those two systems provides better situational awareness, whether you're working in the access control software or the complete view software. Both sides have benefited out of this enhanced integration. So that will be on full display. We'll also be touching on some of the updates we haven't talked about recently related to our M4000 panel, some of the things we're working on, some of the things that have recently been released or will be released shortly after the show that we'll be talking about at ISC a little bit more, and we'll have some of our resident technical experts that will be there as well to discuss some of those features. And obviously, as I said, Symmetry Blue and mobile functionality and how that end-to-end works is going to be a big part of our display. Let's jump to the next slide. So here we're touching on some of the new features and functionality and actually new applications altogether that we'll be touching on at the show for the very first time. So we have released, or apologies, we will be releasing this year a new web client that will be working with the Symmetry Access Control System. So this is sort of the initial steps in the modernization of our UI, and this will be our first foray really into that part, and we'll come with complete web-based client that integrates with the Symmetry Access Control solution. Will provide all the cardholder and visitor functionality on day one that's required. It will also provide basic alarm and event monitoring, so real-time alarm response, for example, will be available directly within the web client. And finally, I'm very pleased to say some basic door control, the ability to open and close doors, will also be available within this application, which is a big step forward. Very pleased to be talking about that, and we'll be touching on those features at ISC West for the very first time. So tune in for more information next week on this product. Let's jump to the next slide. And very much related to the release of the new web client and that new application is another web-based client available for Symmetry Access Control that we'll also be touching on at the show. And this is completely related to reporting and enhancing and updating some of our reporting capabilities, tying a few solutions together and bringing the data together into one place where we can provide better, more central reporting. That's what's behind this new application that we see here. So we'll be providing demos of this application. It really does relate to the cardholder client, the web client that you saw on the previous slide, and that provides the management of your cardholders, your visitors, your real-time alarm and event viewing and door control. And then on top of that, you would also need reporting. Well, this is the reporting piece and is designed to work hand in glove, basically, with that cardholder client. Obviously, I can't do it full justice today. Come and see us at the show, and we'll be talking more about it. But I do want to touch on some of the more important or exciting features, shall we say, about this product. So basically, what I really like about this is, to start off with, it provides out-of-the-box reports for Symmetry Access Control. So it's an update on what's available within the more traditional FIC client. So we're providing some enhanced reports and options there that I'll talk a little bit about. What it also provides is the ability to produce custom reports directly within this web client rather than somewhere separate. And on top of that, there's an add-on module that basically provides the full Symmetry Business Intelligence Analytics that we've been talking about, all within that same web client. So if you've ever used all of our reporting clients before, you end up with some really good information, but it can be scattered across our analytics, which is in the Microsoft Power BI user interface, versus the traditional Symmetry FIC client or a custom report that might be separate to both of those. So you end up with a lot of different bits and pieces right now with the data. This unifies it all within a modern, easy to use web client, which is just excellent. Let's jump to the next slide. Well, I'll show a few more screens here of what's coming with this reporting platform. So I've highlighted there sort of in the top left, I've gone into the menus, and you can see the menu items that are there, the dashboards, the analytics, reporting, and then I've expanded the access control reports that you can see, and it's just showing some of the out-of-the-box reports that are available with the system, and some of the other options you can see in the menus that are there, and obviously in the background you're seeing some dashboards. Let's jump to the next slide. So now going into one of the out-of-the-box reports, I'm showing the filters here. So the concept is that we'll provide, say, one report that shows activity, events of access granted, access denied, those sorts of things. Maybe one report will have that, but it will have an extensive configuration or filtering options all available. As you see here, that there's a lot of different filters and things that I can select from, and that allows me to narrow down what I'm looking for within the report. And you can just see at the bottom a little snippet of the report itself. Now, in the middle of those filters, it says data source, and you see Symmetry 1 and Symmetry 2. What's very important to point out is those are different access control systems. So I have two Symmetry access control systems going into one central reporting application here. So if for some of our customers that do deploy multiple Symmetry systems, this is a very useful way to unify the data that comes from them, where I can have one report on where somebody went in two different systems. Very useful. The next slide actually shows a little bit more detail on exactly that. Is basically this one person, Lindsay McDonald, that we have granted access, and you see they were granted in two different places. The where one is just a simulated node, and the other one was in our Hawthorne office. But those are two separate access control systems. One report showing where this person went across two completely different places. Really big step in terms of unifying all these separate applications that are out there. Really excited to get some feedback on this particular feature. Let's go to the next slide. A few other things to talk about within the application. The custom reporting that is available, very similar if you've seen our previous access control custom reports, but now it's built directly into the platform. You don't have to wait or rely upon our tech support to get a custom report or advanced report issued. You still obviously can use our tech support. We encourage you to do that, but it's built straight into the application where if you have the expertise, you can do this yourself and get access to your data, control it in ways that you need. So another big step forward. Let's go to the next slide. And finally, just sort of closing the loop here, you can see these are screenshots of our Symmetry Analytics or Symmetry Business Intelligence that are now available in the solution as well. Let's go to the next slide, which just shows the occupancy module also within that solution. So what we're doing here over time as this gets released is effectively standardizing the user interface. Our analytics customers don't have to use something that's separate to everything else. And I'm talking about Microsoft Power BI as that user interface. There's nothing wrong with Power BI. It's a very popular tool. It's just not used within any of the other AMAG applications for anything, and is just another component that isn't strictly necessary. So we've consolidated, pulled everything into one place, and now the analytics is available. I will say the analytics will cost, and it'll be an add-on license, an add-on module that would be paid for. But basically, if a customer chooses to take that on, it gets added directly to the same reporting application. It's very easy to now navigate between analytical dashboards and reports versus out-of-the-box reports versus custom or advanced reports that are in the system as well. And so this reporting application, I think, is going to simplify and streamline the solution from that aspect, make it a lot easier to understand your data, work with it, and share it with other people within the organization. So as you could probably tell, I'm pretty excited about this new solution that we've come up with. Let's jump to the next slide. Okay, so just jumping out of access control specifically and talking about some other things that we'll definitely be highlighting at the show and talking about there. Some new features related to guest that we can see here. These are very new. They just came out, I think, in the last couple of weeks. But these are released features that we will be talking about and showing. And what you can see here is we've added some additional functionality to the access control integration with our Symmetry Guest solution. So this is a useful feature on its own, which I'll talk about, is prior to this feature being added, a visitor was put into the Symmetry access control system when that visitor was checked in. So I would go up to the check-in desk, I get checked in. If integration with the access control system is configured, my record is put straight into the access control system at that point, and I'm issued the access that I need, which is great. But it only happens as I arrive at the desk. There's a lot of pressure there in terms of, if I have to go through a door very quickly, or perhaps I need to get into the parking lot or something like that ahead of time before I'm checked in. There were some limitations with how we could do that. What we've done is we've added configurable ability to say, put the visitor into the access control system a day ahead of their visit or 5 days ahead. You can basically select how far ahead you want this to happen. It's configurable. And you can also say, when you do that, the visitor's not checked in, give this visitor some access now, or maybe give them no access before they've checked in. But let's say they needed to get into a parking lot or something like that. You could give them access before they're checked in to the parking lot or that sort of place, so that the visitor can actually get to the reception where they need to check in and do what they need to do. So a very useful feature from that aspect. Another side of this that's very useful is the mobile integration aspect, where today a visitor can automatically be issued a Symmetry mobile credential, but it really only happens when they're checked into the access control system. So in today's parlance, they would only get the credential as they're checked in, as they get to the front desk, which is not convenient and creates a lot of stress for that visitor where they have to now load this credential. So what we've done here allows them to get a mobile credential 1 day or 5 days or however many days you would like. They can get the email from Symmetry Mobile ahead of time and take their time to load that mobile credential. So a lot of very useful functionality and again, unification between our applications, between Guest and Symmetry Mobile. We're bringing them closer together here. So let's jump to the next slide. This is just touching on the workflow with Symmetry Mobile, where the visitor would be registered in Guest, and then with the new functionality, we would sync them ahead of time into Symmetry Access Control. Mobile picks them up from there and sends an email to the visitor. Basically, the visitor can then register their mobile credential. Jump to the next slide, and we'll talk just a little bit about the mobile credential. So again, in the past, a visitor technically could load a mobile credential, but first of all, it was only happening at time of check-in, so there was that stress. And secondly, they had to scan a QR code from the email to load the mobile credential. Well, if you can see in the screen on the right-hand side, we have scanned QR code to add a credential, but there's now a new feature that is import QR code, where I don't have to scan a QR code that might be on my laptop that I don't have in front of me right now. I can import it from an email that's already on my phone, making it a lot easier for me to navigate my way through a lobby if I'm adding a mobile credential to my mobile phone at that point. So a lot of convenience, a lot of efficiency that's provided between both mobile and our guest visitor management system. That's all I have time to talk about today. But Greg, if you want to just jump to the next slide, I'm going to wrap it up at this point and say look forward to seeing everybody next week at ISC, and back to you, Kim.
Thanks, Jonathan. Next slide, please. So we are excited. Oh, first of all, I want to remind you that if anybody has any questions, to please type them in the Q&A box. So like I was starting to say, we are excited to announce that we've hired a new director of sales. Fred Nelson has started late January, and he manages the regional sales team in the U.S. He has hit the ground running and has already traveled extensively throughout the U.S., meeting many of you. He plans to visit every territory quarterly, so if you haven't met him, you will very soon. Fred will be at ISC West. He's excited to meet all of AMAG's customers, and we invite you to stop by the booth to meet him. Next slide, please. So in addition to meeting Fred, if you're going to be at ISC West, I wanted to invite you to our cocktail event. On the first day of the show, that Wednesday from 2 to 5, we'll be having beer, wine, and soft drinks in the booth. Stop on by, meet the team, and get a demo of all those great products that Jonathan just talked about. We'd love to meet you or reconnect with you. So let me see. I don't see any questions in the Q&A box. Nope. So I guess we'll wrap it up, and thank you to Jonathan for the sneak preview of what we'll be showing at ISC West, and to Greg, who as always makes everything sing and dance behind the scenes. If you have any questions, please reach out to your local AMAG salesperson, and they can set up a meeting with you. As always, the full webinar and previous webinars are on our YouTube channel. The URL is there at the bottom of the screen. As soon as we end this webinar, a short survey will pop up in your browser. please take a moment to fill that out so we can make sure we're always delivering the best information on these webinars. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you'll join our next webinar on April 19th. Watch your inbox for details. Thanks again.